have been over-consuming coffee over this exam period, so I'm trying to lay off caffeine. So today we're not going to be having a coffee with us. I just have a plain, simple cup of water. Hydration is good. Don't take too much coffee. If you take 1 cup of coffee, follow it by 2 cups of water. That's always the rule. Hi, and welcome back to the podcast. Have you ever read something that just made you feel like you should have written it, or something that felt like it changed your whole way of thinking? Well, I often do this. Like, I read so many things that I'm like, oh my God, how is that not hitting you? That is so profound. I cannot believe you wrote something like that, or I cannot believe a stranger on the internet wrote something like that. And today in the morning, I was reminded of this feeling when my sister was taking photos of roses. They were dead roses. You know how roses lose their vibrance and their color and they shrivel up and they die? They were such roses. And as she was taking the photos, she just became very emotional, and she mentioned how roses get more beautiful when they are dying, and it's kind of paradoxical. Instead of shriveling up and becoming ugly, they actually age with grace and with beauty, and she actually wrote a whole poem about it. And it just reminded me how much small things or small words that you hear can hit you so profoundly, and you feel like just something has clicked inside you. And most times people around you won't even understand what you're saying. They'll just be like, yeah, it's not that profound. Like, yeah, it makes sense. We get what you're saying, but it's not really that profound. And in a way, I like to think of it like the universe is letting you in on the secret and the mystery that you have just fallen upon. And I've read so many things online that have hit me in this way. So many things that have inspired so many other podcast episodes, so many other things in my life. And so today, as a way of unwinding, I've had a really long week. I have been reading nonstop, and I feel like I just need to unwind. We're going to go through some of the quotes that I have read somewhere. Not just quotes, but even tweets, just words that people have written that have really resonated with me on a deeper level, that have hit a certain frequency in me. Starting off nicely. You can achieve your wildest creative dreams going slow and resting often. This is such a true thing, and I feel like patience is one of the things that is hardest to cultivate when you're working towards something. It's hard for you to kind of comprehend the fact that you're not going to get where you want to get in an instant. You're not going to get there in a week, in a month. You're going to take time, and you have to be patient. It's very hard to comprehend that, to even think about being patient. And it's even harder to practice it. I feel like we usually get sold this notion that you have to just grind continuously, like be on your grind, work hard, no resting, just keep on pushing. And we feel like when we do this, our dreams or whatever we're working towards should come our way as fast as possible. And despite how it might sound like it's true, it's not true. For you to actually go far, you have to keep on resting. And rest is such an important part of life that I have come to really realize that, specifically this week, because of how much I've not been resting just to get a lot of work done. Rest is such an important part of a journey and of the process of working towards something. And I love that this quote says, you can achieve your wildest creative dreams. Because most times you feel like a tortoise, a turtle, a tortoise, all these creatures which walk slowly, you feel like they don't even make progress and they don't go as far as other creatures which run fast. But it is paradoxical that if you move slow like a turtle, if you go slow and you rest often, you can achieve your wildest creative dreams. I feel like people have been sold the notion that you have to grind, you have to really put in intense amounts of work with barely any rest. I remember so many times back in high school or even in primary, when people used to come to motivate us, like the motivational speakers, they would always say, you have to sacrifice your sleep, you have to sacrifice this, that, and the other. No sleeping, no joking around, no this, no that. And they always made the journey of working towards even just academic success to feel like something that's a chore and to feel like it's draining you because you're told, you're sleeping how many hours a night? 5 hours a night? That's too much. You have to sleep like 2 hours a night. 3 hours, you're wasting 3 hours sleeping. I'm not wasting time. I'm actually recharging. And I've come to realize that I do my best work when I am well rested. But I really do struggle with that. I struggle with figuring out a good balance between working hard and resting. And sometimes I find myself doing a lot of one. Either I'm working too hard, such that I'm not even resting, or I'm resting too much that I'm not working. It's a crazy thing, and you have to kind of strike a balance. So I've always loved this quote right after reading it. So it's something that I feel like I need to be reminded a lot, that even by going slow and resting often, just doing the work that you need to do, but allowing yourself to rest, you can achieve your wildest creative dreams. Especially, I love that they have specifically said creative dreams, because creativity does require you to have rest and balance. So yeah, I need you to remember that you can achieve really crazy dreams even by just going slow and resting often. And I find that if you struggle also with knowing how slow to go, just set for yourself a schedule. For example, if you're working towards something, set specific times that you're going to work on that thing. Don't just work on impulse and on motivational bursts. Like, don't wait for that. Actually set times for what you want to do and set a plan. Okay, moving on to the second one. We tend to judge others by their behavior and ourselves by our intentions. This kind of leans into the fact that we just only experience our lives and we only know what's going on in our own heads. So when you make a certain decision, which by other people might be seen as wrong, you don't see it as wrong because you are judging it by your intention and you're the one who knows why you made a certain decision. But you find that when it comes to other people, you will judge them for their behavior. You'll judge your family member for snapping at you while you don't know that they're going through a lot of things in their heads, and you just feel like that is just a tell of their behavior, of their character, of their personality. You will judge someone on the street, you will judge people outside by how they behave instead of their intentions. And the thing is, you can never really know the intentions of every other person. I feel like sometimes you need to give people the benefit of the doubt, especially if you're not able to communicate to them and confirm why they did what they did, why they acted the way they acted. You can sometimes give them the benefit of the doubt to save yourself maybe piling up resentment against them, to save yourself a lot of negative emotions. Just assume that the intentions are good. If you cannot ask them. Of course, I'd advise that you actually ask them why they did something. If they're comfortable telling you, just allow yourself to hear their side of the story, because often you'll realize that people have good intentions at heart. It's just that sometimes the decisions that you make will not always seem right by others. They will only seem right by yourself because you know why you're doing them. You have a deeper reason behind them. So we do tend to judge others by their behavior and ourselves by our intentions. For example, she did that because she's an evil person, because she's a hateful person, but I did that because I understood this and that and the other, or I did that because I'm trying to ensure this, that, and the other. Well, she's also a human being, so she probably didn't do that because she's a hateful person, but because she was trying to do this and that. She had this intention in mind. Do you see that kind of balance of thinking of other people the same way you think about yourself, knowing that people have intentions that go much deeper than what you can see, what you can experience, what you can tell. So yeah, let's give people a little leeway and realize that they are also human beings. This is one that I read and I felt so, I don't know what to call it. I don't know what to call the feeling, but when I read this one, I was just like, oh, if someone were to ever tell me that, I would literally evaporate and be part of the clouds. This is how it goes. And when I'm 6 feet under and the bugs are eating my heart, all they taste is you. I've just evaporated. I don't exist anymore. Wow. I mean, how do people even come up with such words? And when I'm 6 feet under and the bugs are eating my heart, all they taste is you. It's like making feelings for someone else, not just be feelings, but something that can actually be felt and tasted, that can be tangibly interacted with. I don't even know how to explain how I feel about this one, because it's so good. It's so good. It's perfect. It's over the top. I love it so much. It's like when you have overwhelming feelings for someone and you want to express it in a better way, you can just say that. And the bugs are eating my heart. All they taste is you. All they taste. So even after death, the heart still tastes of you. The heart still has the taste of you. That is so profound. And I just love that. I don't know who wrote it. It has no tags. It doesn't even have unknown. I just don't know who wrote it, but it's a really beautiful one. I can't even say much about it because I am feeling too much that I cannot put it into words. By Richard Sicken Crush. I don't know if Crush is his name, but Richard Sicken. A man takes his sadness and throws it away, but then he's still left with his hands. It's like you think you can take your feelings, the unwanted feelings, and toss them away and be apart from them. But then you're still left with your hands, and your hands still have the sadness. It's like you can never separate yourself from the sadness or from that feeling that's unwanted. And it kind of goes back to the fact that you cannot really separate yourself from emotions and prevent yourself from having emotions altogether. You have to just accept that you have the emotions, especially when it comes to unwanted emotions. It's easy to try and throw away emotions, but then you're still left with your hands. You're still left with the hands that picked up the emotions and threw them away. And it's like you cannot really separate the part of you that feels, and you cannot separate what you feel from yourself. It's possible, of course, to be kind of numb to emotions, and that is pretty sad because most times it happens when you are in a state of severe depression, but you cannot really stop yourself from having emotions. And the best you can do is to accept that you have emotions and evaluate what those emotions are trying to tell you. It's like when you suddenly get angry and you want to take your anger and throw it away, but then you're still left with your hands, The best you can do is just allow yourself to feel that you're angry and ask yourself why you're angry. What does the anger you feel tell you? And allow the emotion to pass through you and allow yourself to feel it. Because I feel like sometimes we're kind of subject to our emotions. We cannot really control what we feel. We just have to allow ourselves to feel it. I hope it does make sense. You cannot control yourself from feeling. You just have to let yourself feel whatever it is that you're feeling and allow it to pass over you. They're called feelings for a reason. We're supposed to feel them, but we're supposed to also not identify ourselves as the feelings. They are just feelings that pass through you. They come and they go, and you cannot control how they come, why they come. When they come, they just come. But when they come your way, you can let them pass through you, accept that you're feeling them, and then let them go through and pass. Whether they choose to get out or not, it's up to you to now choose to listen to what the feeling tells you about yourself, about something that has been done to you. It's your job to kind of learn from the feelings that you feel. So I loved this one because it was so good. It was so good. Okay, I love this one a lot. It says, I want to write the kind of short stories you read in English class that are on this weird level of surrealism that they still haunt you years down the road. I feel like literature is such I don't know how to call it. I'm lacking words in this episode as I try to explain things which have made me lack words. Anyways, it's easy. Literature is something that can make you feel really weird emotions. Like it's so emotional. It's very much tied to what you feel. And you find that so many different things that you read evoke so many different feelings or environments within your head. I'll give you a simple example. There's stories that I've read in my childhood that till today make me feel a certain weird level of surrealism, as they're saying on the quote. Stories like Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events, it's something that I still think about, and I'm still haunted by the weird level of surrealism that follows that kind of a story. And I find that when they develop such stories into movies and they do it nicely, it's kind of satisfying because you now know that other people felt the same weird level of surrealism such that they were able to even put it together into a film. And I think that's what makes literature so beautiful is the fact that it can just you always stay with it. When you read a piece that touches you, it stays with you and it's forever with you. It's a part of you. It's a part of why you are the way you are. It's a part of why you do certain things, even if you don't know it. And so many different stories have touched me on this level, not just even whole novels, even short stories. Like there's this book known as Memories We Lost, and the first story is a short stories compilation, and it was read in high school a few years back. And the first story is Memories We Lost. And that story is about a schizophrenic. It still haunts me. I've tried to find it. I've tried to find the book like around the house, but I couldn't find it. I've tried to find it like online, but I couldn't find it. So I just have to deal with the memory of the book that I have. And it's such a deeply emotional book for me. It kind of brings up this weird feeling that I love so much. And it's not just with stories. I find that even some films can make you feel that. Specifically for me, films from people like Tim Burton. And not just Tim Burton. There's these films which are kind of weird and quirky and surreal and kind of off and odd. They just evoke some feelings which I cannot even explain. And there should be a word I can use to explain this. But if you get it, you get it. And I think this is one of the things which makes life so beautiful. It's having literature that can stay with you. Like you read something and it just doesn't leave you. It's forever with you. It's something that you find kind of comfort in and you feel comforted in. I love it so much. I could come up with a whole list of such stories which have done this for me, but we won't get into that right now. Maybe on another day. Okay, there's this one. It was a tweet that says, you can read Carl Jung, Carl Jung, 100 times and still be blown away to the 101st. I love that. First of all, the caption itself is quite mind-blowing. I love that, and it's kind of funny. So this is the quote by Carl Jung. To love someone else is easy, but to love what you are, the thing that is yourself, is just as if you are embracing a glowing red-hot iron. Imagine embracing a glowing red-hot iron, though. Embracing it. Normally, when I'm cooking, if I touch this sufuria just a little, I feel a lot of pain, and just a small portion of my skin being in contact with something so hot, but not even hot enough, is so uncomfortable. Now imagine embracing a glowing red hot iron. That's like 2000 degrees Fahrenheit or something. Then the quote continues, it burns into you, and that is very painful, obviously. Therefore, to love somebody else in the first place, okay, that's the key word, in the first place, is always an escape which we all hope for, and we all enjoy it when we are capable of it. But in the long run, it comes back on us. You cannot stay away from yourself forever. You have to return. You have to come to that experiment to know whether you can really love. That is the question, whether you can love yourself, and that will be the test. This is so profound. I've never really thought about the desire to love someone else as an escape from having to love yourself. I've never seen it that way. And after reading this, I was like, oh, it's so true. When you have so much love within you, but you cannot come to terms with yourself and you cannot look yourself in the mirror and love yourself and accept yourself as you are, it's easy for you to turn to someone else, to someone who you can pour the love to. And so you find yourself, you have such a big desire to love someone else, or you're really clinging a lot to loving someone else. And the reason might be because it's kind of hard to love yourself. And I love that they explained loving yourself as embracing a glowing red hot iron, because it really does burn and it's painful, because with loving yourself comes a lot of knowing yourself, and knowing yourself is kind of the hardest, sometimes the most fulfilling, but also very challenging thing to do, because you have to actually know things about yourself which you don't really like, which you don't admire, which don't seem nice and fun and perfect and beautiful and admirable about yourself. You have to come to know yourself just as you are, see yourself as you are, and then you have to love that person. If you are able to know someone's whole life story, you would either love them to death or hate them completely. That's the truth. And now with yourself, you know your whole life story. Now, looking at yourself and choosing to love yourself is like embracing a red hot iron that's glowing. It's hot. The temperatures are over the top and you have to embrace that. It'll burn you and it's painful. But that's the test. And that's the question, whether you can really love yourself. And I love that she also says that it does come back to you in the long run, even if you're able to find an escape by loving someone else in the first place. Remember, that's the key word, in the first place. Choosing to put someone else completely before everyone else, including yourself. You put them as a first person, and only what they say and what they want matters. What you want, what you feel doesn't really matter. It's all about them. It's kind of being attached, anxiously attached, maybe. I don't know. But it's kind of putting someone too close to yourself that they are before you. Like it's them, then you. Who do you love the most? I love them, then I love me, maybe. Or maybe I am the 101st person that I love, something like that. And I love that he says that it's the question and it's a test. And you cannot stay away from yourself forever. You have to return. So no matter how many times you avoid having to love yourself by looking for places to pour that love into, it'll still kind of bend. There'll be a bend in the road and you'll come back to yourself and you're like, damn it, I just have to embrace this glowing red hot iron and feel the pain and the burn. And yeah, you kind of have to. Okay, the next one is kind of simple but so nice. It says, art is how we decorate space. Music is how we decorate time. That's so simple, so easy. I won't even explain it further. It's just so good. Okay, I might want to explain it a bit. You find that when you're walking somewhere and you have no music on, it's kind of a plain experience. Sometimes it's a really good one, but when you put music, you feel like you're on top of the world. Let's say the music is kind of confidence, uplifting and all that. You feel like you can float away. You can just step and people will know that you have stepped. Or maybe the music is melancholic. You kind of feel like everything around you is melancholic. So it's a way of decorating time. And sometimes when music is playing, you don't even notice how fast the time is flying. That's why you play music when you're doing extended tasks, because you don't want to really notice the time passing. You're decorating the time. And art is now how we decorate our spaces. Instead of having a plain wall, you have pictures, you have mood boards and all that on your walls. And yeah, I love that. I love that. The next one says, she saw how tall the grasses danced so beautifully in the wind, and she chose that for her own life, to stand tall and still be moved in the presence of invisible things. What? Who wrote this? And funnily enough, for most of these quotes, I don't even know who wrote them, because who wrote this? This is so good. To stand tall like the grass is being moved in the wind. Stand tall, but still be moved by the presence of invisible things. It's so paradoxical. You're standing tall, yeah, but you're still being moved. And moved by what? The presence of invisible things like wind. I feel like it sheds light on being confident versus being ignorant. So many people think confidence is being the loudest person in the room. So many people think confidence is being kind of cocky and being superior and feeling a sense of superiority over others. But it's not really that. Confidence is standing tall and still being moved. It's standing tall and letting people's emotions, people's words, people's life itself move you. Being moved is not something that shows that you don't have confidence, that you're not tall. I love how it was put, because it's easy to confuse ignorance for confidence. It's easy. It's so easy for you to think that someone is confident just because they swagger and just because they have this, kind of cocky way of living and doing things and way of speaking, or just because they are the loudest in the room and they're talking to everyone, you think, okay, they are confident. But it's not really the case. Confidence is more of an internal thing. And yes, you can see it externally, but sometimes it's easy to confuse confidence and being superior, having a superiority complex, being cocky, there's so many things you can confuse with confidence, but I feel like it all comes down to confidence being internal and being something you have built on the inside. It's not something that you really try to show and to push out and to show people, I am confident. Most times when you're confident, you don't try to push the notion. it just pushes itself and it carries you with it. The next one actually has someone's name tagged at the bottom. It says, by W.H. Auden, but once in a while, the odd thing happens. Once in a while, the dream comes true, and the whole pattern of life is altered. Once in a while, the moon turns blue. Oh my goodness. I think we forget that when we say once in a blue moon, it will actually get to a moment when the moon turns blue. I don't know if scientifically it's a real thing that the moon does turn blue, but metaphorically, once in a while, the odd thing does happen. And when you live life knowing that once in a while, your dream will come true, the whole pattern of life will be altered. There's this song by Matt Maltese known as This Is the Day. And I love that song so much because it kind of mirrors the fact that something small can happen and change the whole course of your life. It's funny how we live every single day on that kind of fragility. You don't know whether you will get into an accident, God forbid. You don't know whether you will wake up and your whole course of life will be changed. Maybe you'll stumble upon something and a dream of yours will come true. Maybe you just don't know what's going to happen. And every single day we live in this fragile balance. And the fact that these odd things don't happen every single day, yeah, that's why they're called odd, right? The fact that they don't happen every single day makes you think that they never happen, but they actually do. And the song that I was talking about, This Is the Day by Matt Maltese, it says, you pull back the curtains and the sun burns into your eyes. You watch a plane flying across a clear blue sky. And those are very normal things that you do. And you do them on normal days when you don't expect anything odd is going to happen. But then, this is the day your life will surely change. This is the day when things fall into place. I just love how a day that begins so ordinarily, a day that you don't expect to be any different, can be the day your life changes, can be the day the whole pattern of your life is altered. And it's worth remembering that once in a while, the odd thing happens. Have faith in the odd thing happening. Have faith in the moon turning blue. The other one is by Jack Gilbert. It says, I dream of lost vocabularies that we might express some of what we no longer can. This is something I've thought about a lot. The fact that our vocabularies limit us so much. We are limited by language in expressing some things. We cannot say certain things that we feel because we don't have the words for it. I guess this whole episode is a summary of this very quote, because so many things that I'm trying to say, I cannot say them because I don't have the words for them. And maybe it's not that I don't have the words for them. Maybe it's that the language is limiting, and speaking, creating words, choosing to express ourselves by words can sometimes be limiting because you don't have the vocabulary to some things. And I love how it says, I dream of lost vocabularies. It's like we had them, but we've kind of lost them. We've lost these vocabularies that would enable us to express some of the things that we no longer can. And I think when you stumble across such things, such quotes that you hear and they hit a profound nerve in you, it's kind of stumbling into a vocabulary that's been able to express something you thought could not be expressed, which is kind of beautiful. It's kind of beautiful that human beings are able to express what they feel, but not just what they feel, something that other people feel. This one is by Paulo Coelho, the one who wrote The Alchemist. I love the book. It says, I can choose either to be a victim of the world or an adventurer in search of treasure. It's all a question of how I view my life. Yeah, this calls back to the bit about perspective being just how you view your life changes the kind of life that you experience. And it's so true. It's easy to be in depths of misery just because of your perspective. It's easy to fall into misery because of how you see your life. When you always see yourself as the victim and you always see yourself as the one who life happens to, and you're just the one who gets life happening to you, and things that you don't want to happen to you just keep happening to you. You see yourself as the victim of life instead of an adventurer of life, then you'll find that you live a miserable life. I think perspective is a gift, and it can also be a curse, but it's a gift to be able to change your perspective on anything, any experience, anything you're going through. You can just flick the switch and choose to see it differently. And in turn, change the kind of life that you're experiencing. To write something, you have to risk making a fool of yourself, by Anne Rice. That is so true. And it's not just about writing, to create anything. For example, to create music, to create art, to create a poem, to write anything, to just create anything. There's the risk that you take, and the risk is making a fool of yourself or looking cringe. Other people's opinion of you doesn't have to become your reality. You're not necessarily annoying just because they are annoyed. You're not necessarily wrong just because they disagree. You're not necessarily unlikable just because they don't like you. You're far too complex to be reduced to one person's subjective and often biased opinion, and you don't have to let it define you. That was big. It's so easy for you to think you're certain ways because of people's reactions to you. For example, you think you are unlikable because people don't like you. Maybe you're just not the right fit for those people, you know? You think that you are annoying just because you annoyed someone. No, you know? And it's when you read the quote, it's like, yeah, it makes so much sense. Other people's opinion of you is not really your reality. It's kind of biased and based on themselves, and it's subjective from their point of view. So it's not really about you. It doesn't have to define you. I also love this part which says you are not necessarily wrong just because they disagree. It's okay for you to disagree with someone and you to be right at the same time. Two truths can exist at the same time, okay? And I feel like when you stop really focusing on other people's opinion, that's when you don't let it define you, because you realize that their opinion of you is just based off of them and their biased point of view and their subjectiveness. So it's not really much about you. It's kind of about them. Because most times, especially if you are a people pleaser and you live life by watching people's opinion of you and aligning yourself to form a good opinion in their minds, then it can be really hard for you to even just have a defined way that you know yourself, a defined perception of yourself, because it kind of varies with every other person's opinion of you, especially people who you care about. It varies with what they think, and that kind of determines your reality. Because they said something about you, you believe that you are actually that way, and it's not true. It's very harmful, especially if you are around people who are not careful, because if they say something about you that is completely wrong, and not just completely wrong, but completely dehumanizing, or kind of takes your confidence down, you're going to believe that about yourself. And you find that as a child, or when you were a child, everything that your parents said about you was your reality. And that makes sense because you are a child. You're trying to form a perception of the world. But if you find that some things that they said about you have now are still living in your current reality, and they're negative, they're making you not move through life confidently or move through life with a better perception of yourself, then maybe it's time to think about that and to root them out and to actually form a perception of your own. That's why I feel like it's so important to build yourself. It's so important to have your own perception of who you are, evaluate yourself, know who you are, know what you want from life, have your own opinion of yourself, creating your reality instead of other people's opinions of you, because people's opinions are subject to so many things, and that should not be something that affects your own reality. Okay? Stop cringing at your future, at your failure, at yourself in the mirror, and stand up and look directly at who you are. Not who you should have been, but who you are now. Let that person in. Let her be as mediocre and wrong and shameful and sad and miserable and brilliant and hilarious as she wants to be, because she knows exactly what you need to feel good. She has plans for you. She wants to show you what comes next. She wants to take you into the future you're dreading and say, see, you never would have imagined this. It's by Heather Havrilesky. Havrilesky. Yeah, can't read that word. It's a tweet, actually. And I love this, you know. it's easy for you to cringe at the version of you that exists right now and to cringe at your failure, at yourself in the mirror. And it's easy for you to not even want to catch yourself in the mirror. But I love how she liberates who you are right now. And she's like, let her be. Let her be as mediocre, as wrong, as shameful, as sad, miserable, brilliant, hilarious as she wants to be. And she also says she wants to show you what comes next. She wants to take you into the future. I feel like when you're working towards something, you don't feel like that version of yourself in the moment is good enough because you are working towards something, meaning you don't want to stay where you are at that moment. But it's easy for you to feel like that version of yourself that you are in the moment is insufficient. Well, in the real sense, they are the ones who are getting you where you want to be. They're the ones who are taking you into that future that you imagine. So it's so nice because this quote kind of makes you be more appreciative of who you are in the moment, of who you are while you're feeling, of who you are while you're looking at yourself in the mirror, while you are not yet there. Just be appreciative of them because that person that you are is the one that is actually taking you into the future you want. It's the one who will bring you to that point such that she's like, you will never have imagined this. See, I've brought you all the way here. So don't cringe at her. Don't look at the mirror and stand up and cringe at your reflection in the mirror at the person that you are now. Stand up and look directly at who you are. Not who you should have been, but who you are now. The last one for today is a tweet by SLF Care that says, when you start to respect yourself, you also start to recognize who doesn't. Friendships watering down, clashing with people you used to get along with, discovering some relationships or dynamics aren't for you. It's all part of growing as a person and realizing what is and isn't what you want or need. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you or that you're wrong or that you're doing the wrong thing. New habits, new boundaries, and a newfound self-respect often require re-evaluation. When you start to respect yourself, you also start to recognize who doesn't. You start to see people in a different light based on how, for example, how they are treating you, on what they are saying, maybe about you or about someone else. And you start to see what you weren't seeing before because now your lens or your perspective is one of self-respect. So when you look through it, anything that's not matching up to that will stand out and you will notice it. And it's a way you can know that you're starting to respect yourself. It's when you start to recognize when people don't respect you and you find that certain friendships are falling away. They're no longer what they used to be. It's because you're different. You have a sense of self-respect. You have a sense of self-confidence, and that will automatically start to shed things from you and from your life that aren't matching up with that. I've really enjoyed going through these quotes. I have so many more to go through, but I can keep talking forever. So I will see you guys in the next episode. I hope you're doing well. If you're going through an intense period, like I am, like an intense period of work or school or something like that, just keep on holding on and remember to shift your perspective, to kind of plan what you want to do and have a solid mindset, a solid plan of how you're going to get where you want to get. Plan your time nicely. Remember to rest. Remember to have balance in your life, and things will work out because one day the moon does actually turn blue. Once in a while, the odd thing happens in your life, completely changes. So I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.